Hello, I'm Doug Stenslick with Cripple Creek Backcountry, and today we're taking a quick look at the Maestrale RS and the brand new Maestrale. You know, if you go back through the lineage of touring boots, these boots have been around for over a decade now. They've seen a ton of different iterations. If I had to guess how many different boots we've carried in the shop, it's probably on its like 7th version. But for the first time in many, many years, it's not just a color update. It's a total overhaul, a brand new design, but with still a lot of the classic features. I brought out an old Maestrale RS here. This is last year's model to kind of compare the two, just to have there for reference. Really, who is this boot for? This boot is for someone that is, one, getting their first touring boot and coming from an alpine background and wants a boot that's a little more supportive, but still really light, or someone that's really looking to elevate their game in the backcountry and maybe also use a boot to jump on the resort because they're not keeping an alpine boot anymore. You know, there are some burlier ones in the Scarpa lineup. The Quattro came out last year, so that would be this boot, more built for an alpine style. But this is a great walk mode. It has a really impressive 60-degree range of motion and a lot of the features that we're really looking for. So to compare it to the old one and the new one, they've still gone with the Z-buckle system. They've added little things like a barrel adjuster on the front of the boot so you can fine-tune and micro-adjust how much tension's on the strap. It used to really only work where you had, you know, a tight, a less tight, and a loose mode. So it's nice to be able to tune that in. They also hollowed out this instep buckle. They've totally revamped the walk mode. Now it works with just like the normal lever design that we're seeing more and more prevalent. The old one worked with just kind of sliding into place. That always had a little more risk of kind of building up snow or not, like icing up and not fully being able to get into ski mode. They also redid the bottoms. The soles are still Vibram soles, but they did a lot of research when they molded these new ones to just make it shed snow and give you a little bit more grip when you're walking on rocks. After the sole, we're looking at a totally revamped liner. They've added some stiffness. They've made it really light. The whole boot comes in at about 1,472 grams in a 26.5/27 shell size. That's what this Maestrale came in at about 15 before, so they were able to shed about 40 grams off that. Keeping the same great range of motion and making a few little updates, but the biggest difference you're going to find in this boot is a remolded fit. Usually they're making these lasts, which are metal molds that they can make each boot around, and each one costs tens of thousands of dollars, so they rarely revamp it. And that's why every year they'll just keep rolling it back with some tweaks to the buckles and a little bit different color. But in the new Maestrale RS, you can see it's way more borrowed from the Quattro last, so a lot's felter. It increased from a 101 to a 102, so it's slightly wider. Now what I found from, you know, using this boot and wearing this boot, I put it on and I was kind of blown away that it was only 1 millimeter bigger. I have super wide feet. I usually have trouble stepping into a boot, especially when it's the first boot of the new season and you forget how tight you like it. You know, I would wear about an 11.5 running shoe, and this is a 26.5/27 shell, and I'll struggle a little bit to get down, but it is my preferred size. And when I stepped into this boot, immediately I felt like there was almost too much room. Like most touring boots, if you have this totally shut, the cuff buckle and the power strap, there's very little of that 62-degree range of motion. But if you open up all the buckles, you kind of can harness all of that like walking ability. When I did that though, I didn't have these bottoms tight at all, and that's why I was feeling that slop. So when I was about to give up on the fit, I started clamping these down and using the micro adjust and getting it where I wanted, and it snugged the whole boot up. And I think that's one of the most impressive things about the Cabrio design, that 3-piece fit with using different materials in different places. That way when you tighten the boot down, it really pulls your instep down and pulls your heel back into the pocket. That's something that, you know, ski touring boots 10 years ago didn't have that ability. They either felt super loose or like clamped down tight, and this boot had a lot of ability to harness that in. Still has a tighter heel pocket, a little bit wider forefoot. So I think anybody that has a wide foot, even if your foot measures way bigger than a 102, you're gonna be able to get into it because they put the extra space in all the right places. This is the new Maestrale RS. I also brought out one of the new regular Maestrales. You know, we're looking at, all of this is a little bit generic based on brands, but I would call it about a 115 in the Maestrale on a flex rating and a 125, slightly less than that Scarpa Quattro I referenced earlier, slightly more than an F1. Both great boots. If you're looking for something that can drive a little bit bigger ski, definitely go with the Maestrale RS. It's coming in at $950 this year. And then you have the regular Maestrale at a retail price of $850. I think they're both going to be killers. They're going to get a lot of people into ski touring and make a lot of people really happy. Check them out.